My name is Joe Bandel, and I am the last Rosicrucian. Today we're going to talk about a basic update on what I sense is happening with Gaia's ascension. But I'm going to do it a little bit differently today. I'm going to talk about my personal experience with the astral, what they call the astral projection, out of body experiences, the astral bodies or the etheric bodies, things like that. Now, pretty much all my life, I'm 63, pretty much all my life I've been fascinated by the area of metaphysics. And I joined the Rosicrucian Order, AMORC, when I was right around 18. And began studying that and everything that I could think of. Okay, but there's a big difference between studying metaphysics, because there's a spiritual aspect of metaphysics and there's a magical aspect of metaphysics, okay? And I never knew what to believe. And I believe that's true for people today. You don't know what to believe. Okay, that's all in your head. That's all imaginary. Okay, what's real? What's not? And what I'd like to do in this video is just share with everybody what I think is real based upon the personal experiences that I've had. And then then everybody else can do as they will. They can think about it as they want. But my path has been very structured in a way, because back in my early teens, or as a youth, when I was 19 or something, I had a nervous breakdown dealing with things in my life that dealt with love relationships, that dealt with family situations, and that dealt with some of my Rosicrucian studies when I was, for example, exposed to the concept of reincarnation for the very first time. And I came from a very devout, strict Christian family that basically had no time for that kind of thinking. So I started to be exposed to that, and the process of life experiences and stuff made me choose. I had to split. I had to say, okay, am I going on a spiritual path or not? And the upshot was I went on a spiritual path, a mystical path, because the Rosicrucians are mystical, if you will. And so I severed my connection basically to the earth, to Gaia. And everything was in kind of a head trip, and it was going toward the light. And for over 20 years, what I was trying to do was to go to the light. Well, back in 1991, what happened in my life was there was a peak experience where I had gone toward the light and tried to merge with the light so far that I actually succeeded, and I couldn't go any further. They have a name for that because anything that a person can experience spiritually, metaphysically. I'm pretty convinced a lot of that's been done before by individuals. What we're talking about with Gaia's ascension is things that individuals may have done, but not entire populations. And Gaia's ascension is where everybody's going along with this ride. It's not just an individual thing. So anyway, when you're talking about the concept of magic, you're talking about astral planes, you're talking about astral projection. Some of these things, I'd read these books about them, like probably everybody else does here that's watching some of my videos, and I couldn't duplicate the experience. It's kind of like, well, that's kind of nice, but I can't do it. All right. But what could I do? And what I could do is I could get these illuminations. I could get these insights. I could get these, what you call self-evident bursts of connecting the dots on my personal belief system. And back in 1991, I'd reached a point of, I guess it would be unity, where everything fused together and I became a part of everything. Or you could say that I just lost myself, and some people call that the destruction of the ego, or the false ego, something like that. But what I can say is back then, there was a polarity shift and I started coming back down to earth, coming back down to Gaia. And I was stuck in my head. And through a process of what I call soulmate cycles, which are relationships, energetic relationships with the opposite sex, I began developing individual astral bodies that belong to the different chakra centers. And so this is real. Of the things that you say, hey, what's real and what's not real, I can say, I remember when I could project for the first time. I had an astral body, and it was like a balloon. It was human shaped, but there was not really any facial features, things like that. And then the next one would come along, and it was more human, but it was still kind of like transparent, kind of like a ghost, whatever. And then the next one became more, as each chakra center opened up as I went down lower, integrating these lower chakras. The bodies, the astral bodies, the non-physical bodies that I woke up, that became activated, were more and more like my physical body. And it was to the point where then at the lowest levels, you even started getting body hair, like on your arms or something like that. Started noticing. I mean, the astral bodies were sharing some of these characteristics, which I've tried to share. And what I'm getting at is there is a difference, because I remember back, this would be 1994, having an astral out-of-body experience where there was a cable that was coming out of the top of my head, out of the crown chakra, that pulled me out of my body, and it was about that big, that thick. So we're talking a thick cable. But on the other hand, I still couldn't stand at the foot of my bed, for example, and look down at my physical body sleeping there or laying there. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Why are all these books about astral projection? Why why can't I do that if I have these other experiences? And what I realized now, or what I've come to realize, is that's because these were higher astral bodies. And they were not what that all these books were talking about, phenomenon that happened at lower astral levels. All right. And that's kind of what I'm talking about today, because what's happening with Gaia's ascension is the lowest possible astral levels, the etheric levels, are activating globally. And if you're oriented toward the light, you're going to be, I don't want to say haunted, but you're going to start picking up these angels or these beings of goodness and love. And the other side, the darker side, is going to start to be haunted by these entities that are not so nice. And there's going to be a split, because the ones will attract the ones and the others will attract the others. That's where we're at for the first time. And I've noticed, I've read a lot of books on magic and things like that, and was like, why can I not sense the energy or work with the energy like these books describe? And what I'm sharing is that the time has come when I can. I sit in a chair and I close my eyes to meditate, and I can feel energy swirling around me, and I can manipulate that energy. I want to do things with that energy or send it out for healing or things like that. I can do that now. I can do those things that I was never able to do before. And it does not require ritual. It does not require mumbo jumbo. The whole thing was that it required activation of these lower levels. And I had never been there because I had severed that earth connection. I'd severed that lower level connection. And I've reestablished that. Okay. But Gaia's ascension has been coming down layer by layer, level by level. And we have reached a point where the etheric is being activated. And all the entities that exist on these lower level planes are coming in, are merging with our world and our awareness, and magic is coming back into our world. And this is happening, I'm going to say that it's October of next year, Halloween, where the veil is the thinnest. We're going to see it culminate. We just went through, on last Thursday, we went through the full moon of Beltane, where once again the veil is the thinnest. But the veil is the thinnest at Beltane, where the things from the spirit worlds burst forth into the physical worlds. And that's what we're seeing, but we're seeing them burst forth from not only the higher levels, but they're bursting forth from the lower levels. They're coming into physicality. So this whole summer system is going to be powerful for magic. And the magic is only going to get stronger as we culminate on the end of the year. I'm out of time. I've got to go. I hope this was of interest. Thank you.